If I did, I'd be wearing it.
Yeah, I know. They said there will be no criminal charges. You will just be fined if they catch you doing something they shouldn't be doing to make you unhealthy.
So wait a minute. Let's back up a minute. If you're doing something that they can deem unhealthy, they can...
basically, they can fine you, and if you don't pay the fine, then they jail you. And what they deem unhealthy is...
probably fast food.
Fast foods, anything with salt on it, and all candy and ice creams, all beers, soft drinks, anything that the ordinary citizen would eat.
Those are your snack foods that you love to eat.
Well, I mean, well, we're talking, we've done it before, but virtually everything that you have in your house has got salt or sugar in it of one type or another. Those will all be banned under Obama's health care program.
So, what are you talking about, this fat police?
Well, no, the Obama, okay, as part of the president's wife's thing on obesity, they're going to tie it in with the health care program to make this, they're going to be preventative care. They're going to have, you're going to be required by law, but it's not a crime, but they're requiring it by law, that you go in and get a body fat test, which means, you know, that old sinking in the tub, which everybody's going to have to do to check.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They're going to check your skin and see this, you're going to all of this stuff. And if you don't come within the parameters that Obama will be setting, you know, then you can be fined. You know, you can basically, you know, lose your job, be fined, you know, all of this stuff. And if you, that's the way it works, folks. They're going to say it doesn't, but that's actually the way it works. Companies that produce too much salt can basically, you know, that don't do the Obama party line thing, which is to remove all the salt from products. Well, you can't preserve anything anymore. You can't, there's no reason to have over interstate transportation because you can't transport anything anymore.
Well, you know, and probably if you don't weigh enough, you'll probably have a similar problem.
No, similar problem.
You're not healthy.
But you're not going to be allowed to eat any product
that might put some weight on you.
You know, this is all part of the president's and the president's wife's plan to make this country a more healthy country. They said that they love this when the president was talking about, right after he got talking about this, he went and ordered 10, you know, sweet and sour chicken wings. And then they asked him, do you want fries or onion rings with this? He said, I'll take both. He said, do you want...
Are you serious?
And then no. Then he said, well, what would you like? And he said, well, I'll take a couple of milkshakes.
Well, you know, part of it is...
Well, that ain't the half of it. They said when he got done with it, he went outside and smoked 3 cigarettes.
He ate all that?
Yeah, he ate all of that and more. And then went outside and he said, smoke 3 cigarettes. After he was talking, we're going to have to do this, we're going to have to do that. But remember, he is going to exclude elitist products. Cigars aren't going to be affected.
Wine.
Wine's not going to be affected. We're talking the
beers will be in soda pop.
But the best of the you know, we're talking the most expensive chocolates are not going to be affected. The most expensive foods are not going to be affected. Only those things that the average citizen does, because the people like the president and the people that push health care are perfect specimens of health, and if you take their things away from us, like you can't take my gun away from me because I need my gun to protect me, but that person doesn't need his gun to protect him. It's basically, they exempt themselves from their own laws. They do not. They've all exempted themselves from their own health care program. The president says, well, if I'm still in office in 8 years, that's the tip, folks. If I'm still in office in 8 years, he's only supposed to be there for 8 total. And he said in 8, that's a Freudian slip. It means he's 2 years into a 3rd term. If I'm still there in 8 years, then I'll join the health care program, my family and I. It means he has no intention of stepping down. So,
well, I think some people are still trying to grip reality on that one.
We're trying to grip reality. Arnold Schwarzenegger is talking about running for president.
Now, Arnold, because the way the Constitution was written, is because he was not a U.S.-born
citizen.
He's not supposed to be eligible to run for president. However...
But he is making remarks. Well, you know, well, if I didn't have to worry about the Constitution, certainly I'd run for president. Well,
see, part of it is why should he be concerned about the Constitution when other ones weren't?
That's right. I mean, the president isn't... They said the president basically has an absolute disdain for the Constitution. He thinks that it was written by a bunch of irrelevant old, white slave owners. Well, most of them didn't have slaves. They were business people, little tiny farmers, businessmen, educators. There were very few slave owners that helped founded our country. I mean, some of them were really left-wing. They were basically, would have been the founders of the Democratic Party today. They were so left-wing. Even the people on the right were left-wing. So, but it is. I mean, they'll tell you, like, there are no death panels. There are just panels that will discuss, end of life. That's another term, meaning for end of life is death. But they said there are no fat police. They're just going to be people going around to every business to make certain that the business are in sync with what the government programs are for your health.
Oh, they are they?
That's right.
So this is just like they're going to make sure you're paying enough for health care. They're going to make sure they're going to check your, your body fat. Yeah. And actually, because I have a little bit of extra here, a little bit of extra here.
You're in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
That's right. I'm in big trouble because, let's put it this way, I have well over 200 pounds and I'm at the wrong age to be that weight. I'm at the wrong height to be that weight. But I am also an extremely very solid person at that weight. I have to, if I go down into the 180s, then I don't feel well. And that's the whole problem, 180s, you say, well, at his age and his size, he's supposed to be 160. Yeah, and I'm 65 pounds above that.
Well, and because, see, there's a problem with charts, because they look at charts and they say, you're this old and you're this high, so you should weigh this much. Yeah. Well, inherently, there's some people that their bone structure is larger, stockier, thinner. Their bone structure is just different.
Let's put it this way: for 50 years, I've been this size. I've been this weight. I was a little bit taller. I was 3/4 of an inch taller. Age has compressed me a bit, but I've been this weight. I basically had this weight forever. But according to the new Obama standards, that weight is they said it's irresponsible for individuals to be as heavy as they are.
Okay, so do you really think that's something they're going to do, or they just...
They're doing it. It's not they're going to do it, they're doing it. They're adding the stuff, they're doing the thing right now. It is called, under the preventive medicine clause, they can basically propose standards that should be met. But there is no criminal liability other than the fact, well, if a school is selling snacks that they feel shouldn't be selling them, they can basically take government money away from them.
Well, I think a lot of people have forgotten about that health care bill because they've been, the Gulf oil spill's been all over the news.
It's all in.
Or actually the oil spill.
The devil is in the details of the health care bill. It gives them permission to intrude in everybody's life in this country. You cannot, okay, put it this way, you can have your own health insurance, but you cannot opt out of the health insurance program. Mm-hmm. See, so therefore, it means you have to pay for the government health care program and its taxes, and pay for your own insurance also, which means people, it's all done. So but don't worry, as we heard this morning on the polls, the people are not only liking what they see, they think that we should have more intrusion by the government in the health industry. That they're now, we demand the single payer system and that all these insurance companies be put out of business. Folks, you own that insurance company you want to put out of business. That pension fund that you have is funded by those insurance companies.
And those fat cats you keep complaining about, they're managing your retirement fund.
They're managing your retirement fund, and they're being paid by you. You set their salaries. They don't set their salaries. You decide whether they should have that salary or not. They are not doing anything that you don't approve of. That's called what? Board of directors are elected by you. They aren't a bunch of guys that live on, on Brentwood and Beverly Hills and say, I think today we're going to set our salary at $100 million apiece. No, it don't work that way, folks. They come in, they have a board of directors meeting, they have proxy fights, they throw people out. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how it works in a capitalistic world. You don't like what the guy is making in the business you own, you just simply get all the other stockholders together and you throw those people out. You can throw them out and then you call a stockholders meeting tomorrow if you can get 51%.
Okay, so these new rules that you're talking about are their new standards.
They're
How
going-
can you access them and find out what they are?
Because they're okay, let's see. The president's wife said that everybody's got fat asses. What do we do to get their fat asses off of them and make her happy? Oh, we'll create another rule today. That's how it's being done. Okay, you don't need, the Congress doesn't have to pass these things. You set everything, all these commissions in motion. These commissions now will simply do everything. It is now totally out of the Congress's hands. It is now, it's why they got to hire they said the administrative cost of these new commissions is going to be $10 to $20 billion.
Ouch.
10 to 20 billion. And they're going to need another $100 billion on that to enforce, do all the enforcement and everything, and to make certain. Well, we've got to let it's going to cost money to get these people to understand that they're going to have to change the way they do things in life in order to make this country a better place to live in. Once again, it's that,
Okay, so we really are coming to a nanny state. If you didn't think we were in one.
No, and they don't even have to have, it doesn't make any difference whether you want it. What they're going to do is they're going to force the businesses all out of business, and you're not going to have it. It is not a joke when I keep telling people that there's going to be, my father came from a speakeasy era. My grandfather did run a bathtub.
Could you imagine people doing, you know how you do breathalyzer tests?
Yeah. For
alcohol? Oh, you had salt today.
You had salt today. He can tell you had you're not walking around in your little, you got your little gray hat and your little gray suit like from Megatropolis, and you're all going just to way to your job, and you sit there and you hand move all the clocks and everything by hand, basically Fritz Lang had the idea he did it because he saw what socialism was doing in Europe, so he created a thing about the world where everybody became drones to the elite class who all happened to be social democrats. Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing? They were social democrats, folks. So they weren't social conservatives, they were social democrats.
I didn't know there was a social conservative.
There is no such thing.
That's what I mean.
Only Democrats believe in socialism. Conservatives don't. But social democrats always have an elitist class. Remember, the Soviet Union had people driving Rolls Royces, Mercedes. Mm-hmm. They were living in mansions. They basically were having extravagant parties. While everybody was living like two families to a small hovel. Mm-hmm. But you don't need, under the legislation, the healthcare legislation that was passed, they will criminalize everything. I mean, simply go buy shiploads of tobacco, cigarettes and potato chips, and so go buy a closed salt mine, and then close it up on the outside and basically run underground salt. You're going to have fast food versions of my grandfather and father's speakeasies.
Oh gosh.
Look, pure and simple. My father, we're talking out here, they have a lot of stuff. My father would take stuff around for my grandfather to different places, knock three times, that would, and then they say, my father sent the beer over, and then he'd bring that cashes in and stuff, because nobody expected teenagers and stuff were doing that stuff. Actually, my father wasn't a teenager. He was out of college then. That was the bad. Not really bad, isn't it? But no, so he was a real participant when you think about it. But but he's got his little college raccoon coat on and stuff, and they should have suspected anybody wearing a raccoon coat.
He had a raccoon coat.
They wore raccoon coats in the 20s, folks. The flappers. They sit there. Their girls roll their hoses up over their knees, and you remember your grandparents that tell you, actually in your case, your great grandparents that tell you the dancing that you're doing is not nice. They were doing all that stuff.
Did they say it was not proper?
Flappers were.
Oh, that's what that was?
That was. You're doing the same thing. Actually, but see, you did it with the girl back in those days. Today, you just do it with a wall. You don't need girls anymore. Girls don't need guys. They can dance all by themselves. I mean, at least in the 50s, when I was doing stuff like American Bandstand and bad, movies, the girl was always in. You're always holding a girl. I mean, you always had the slow dance where you sit there and put your arm around her. The girls wore like 40 petticoats under their dresses. So, and then the only time we'd ever be apart is when you do the line dance and you do your, you're walking down. You're not supposed to look at the girl. You're just looking straight at the camera that's in front of you, which you don't pay any attention. And then when you get at the end of it, the girl's hand is always supposed to be right there when you put it down. It was never rehearsed, of course, but the hand would go and then you'd both, look at one another. You'd go this direction, she'd go that way. But Grandma and Granddad never did anything like that.
Never, ever, ever.
But
go ahead.
No, and I take the fact that people, okay, an example, that nobody in Congress read any of the stuff that they passed. They didn't realize that a lot of that stuff is in there.
You mean just like Eric Holder didn't read the 10-page Arizona immigration bill?
Yeah, well, because
They came out and criticized against
the way it works is, I don't have to read it
to know it's bad. And
I don't have to read it to know that this is good for America. That's the healthcare thing. They don't have to read it. They did, okay. It said Andy Stern and a bunch of other people got together and wrote this healthcare bill. Obama doesn't know what's in it. Only the people on his, from SEIU, I think the Apollo Alliance and other people know what's in that healthcare bill. And if you look at it, I've actually seen it. I've told people all along, there's the little footnotes that can get you. The little footnote says that the authority to implement these rules and regulations shall be in the hands of the implementers. That's double talk. They say the same people that are writing it implement it. And they are self-thinking. I mean, they've created 16,000 internal revenue agents in order to, we're not going to criminalize you not having health care.
No, but we're going to send out 16,000 IRS agents.
And if you don't pay your bill, well, you know what happens to people that don't pay the Internal Revenue Service? They go to jail. But it's not going to criminalize it. You can decide to go to jail or not go to jail. You decide whether to make this a crime or not.
I know.
You get free choice. Your choice is you either pay something, either pay extortion, or you go to jail. When my father was a police officer in Los Angeles, way back at the end of the 1930s up until the 60s, they used to have an organization called